processing.
Takes a few minutes to go live.
So it says you're live on here.
Yeah,
So,
see, it's live now. Yeah.
okay, folks, Mr. Chair, you ready to go?
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for signing in here today. I'd like to call to order the Protective and Emergency Services Committee. I'll start with, is there any declarations of conflict of interest?
None. None. No.
Okay, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda.
Sure. I'll do approve it. Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
could I add that we go into a closed session at the end of reports?
Sure. Yeah, no problem. Does everybody else agree to that?
Yeah, no problem.
Under
Yeah,
what
sure.
a section, Your Worship?
What's that?
Under what section of section 119, Your Worship? For what purpose?
It's a couple of things that I sent to Councillor Duran about the downtown and the street vendors bylaw. Okay. And then there's also the issue of a letter from a motel owner out on North River Road, Lower Malpeck Road.
So section 119D and E, Your Worship?
Let me just look here. Is it D and E or B and E?
I don't have the document here. I'm just trying to have it narrowed down for the scope, Your Worship.
Okay. Subsection. Yeah, it'll be under subsection D and E.
Okay, thanks, Your Worship.
If I find something that corrects that, I'll just amend it when we go to closed session.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay. Everybody see the adoption of the minutes, February 24th?
Yes.
Any
Yeah,
issue?
no problem.
Okay. No business arising from the minutes then? And
See none? No.
we'll just go right into reports. I'll ask the fire chief to give an operational report, please.
All right, I'll turn the table over to Deputy Chief Tim Mamie. Tim, are you available? Tim seems to be having some technical difficulties, so I'll do a little pitch hitting here. Total fire inspections were 57. Follow-up fire inspections were 25. Hazard compliance orders issued were 19. There were 12 plan review permits and safety plans completed. There were 4 fire investigations. Emergency response to a total number of 111. District 1 had 61. District 2 had 30. Inspector call-outs were 20. Total time of all calls was 47 hours and 5 minutes. And I must add, gentlemen, this is from a time period from February 19th through to April 20th. Additionally, fire department training has been suspended since March 9th. We also remind social distancing guidelines are in place. Prior to training suspension, members participate in JPR drills, saving your own practices, rapid intervention team training, rescue gear training, as well as ventilation, smoke reading, and fire control training. 3 members completed the ice rescue technician course, and 6 members completed the full MFR course. We also had a clandestine lab briefing conducted by RCMP Constable James Morrison, and a mental health briefing by Samantha Sambron from Serene View Ranch. Additionally, fire department activities. Many scheduled events have been canceled due to including the annual MD boot drive and fire prevention education classes. We've been providing birthday visits with the department vehicle with flashing lights to those residents that have been requesting them, and will continue to do so until social distancing has been relaxed. And children have parties and their friends and families once again. We are carrying out response activities under temporary operations plan, which includes details on appropriate PPE and enhanced on-scene 911 call screening tools. There is also increased cleaning and disinfecting in both stations and equipment. I might add, gentlemen, that the drive-by birthdays seem to be a very popular thing for our firefighters to be doing with their community. It's going over rather well. So it's a great initiative. That completes the operational report. Now for a few comments I have. The Ladder 1 replacement draft, specification draft has been completed. Vehicle ventilation system for Station 2, that tender has been awarded to Atlantic Air Cleaning Specialties with a Work start date to be determined. The overhead door replacement Station 1 tender has been awarded to Island Overhead Doors with a work date to be determined. The 3 fire department vehicles that were passed last month's council meeting, they have been ordered. Engine 1 is currently under construction with a delivery date of June, and with Engine 6 currently not under construction but does have a delivery date of September. A radio communication upgrade purchase orders have been issued, and we're awaiting the equipment to come in. And we're currently working on a bylaw, fire prevention bylaw revision. Also, as you know, the EMO group has been very busy with regular meetings with COVID. That completes our report.
Thank you very much, Chief. You've been certainly busy with all your activities. I appreciate that. I'm sure all council does. Does anybody have any questions?
I do, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
So a lot of the calls, as you said, they went from February to April, Chief. So it seems like a lot of calls are down, correct?
Correct. A lot of calls are down from the same time period as last year. But we're starting to see them start to come back up a little bit. But overall, they're still down.
Excellent, excellent. That's probably because not much traffic in the road and people are more cautious.
Yeah, correct. Less people in the buildings, that sort of thing.
Excellent. I'm doing a great job, I must say.
Thank you.
Anybody have any other questions?
No, none for me.
None.
I'm okay.
All right. Well, that concludes our fire report. Thank you very much, Chief. We'll jump down into C, the traffic. If someone could give us an update on that, please.
Yes, Chair, we've got a couple things under traffic. One is an issue that was brought forward by a number of individuals in the neighborhood around Spring Park School, asking us to look at some changes in the area of Pope Avenue, Arcona Drive, and in and around that area. It is being looked at in conjunction with our members and with Public Works, as well as with school officials. There was some changes that the school had adopted a couple of years ago that basically kind of threw things into a little bit of disarray out there. So we are trying to work with the school to fix it. But with the COVID situation presently, obviously there's no one at the school, so that matter's just been put on hold until such time as we can get back to school officials. But we believe we can get that fixed up with the joint discussions between ourselves, Public Works, and the school. So that's the issue with Stone Park. The other was an issue, Chair, that you had mentioned with regard to enforcement initiatives that are done in Summerside, looking at private lots in terms of disabled parking and the commissionaire that Summerside has on, or had on Spring. Excuse me. We followed up on that. Summerside doesn't have a commissionaire at the present time. They haven't had for some time. So basically, what they do a number of enforcement initiatives on parking lots, but the city owns a number of them. Now they do some through a permission thing with private lot owners. We used to have that at one point in time, but it was basically a liability issue for us if we ended up towing a car from private property. And under the bylaw, the private lots don't fall under the definition of a roadway. So we don't do that, and our bylaw is not set up that way. It could be changed, but basically for the amount of time that would be required for us to look at that type of initiative in private lots, it would really take away from other activities that we should be doing.
Okay. Yeah, the lady had asked us to talk about it as a committee. I think, she was well aware of what went on in Summerside, and she was saying that, it was full-time work for someone, and so I said we could talk about it, but I certainly wasn't aware of all the rules and the liabilities and things. Yeah, so I guess there's not a whole lot we can do.
Yeah, Summerside, what they were doing was, I was speaking with Deputy Walker in Summerside about it, and they don't, when they had the commissioner doing it, it was more a reactionary type of program. When if it was done at the mall, when they called, they would respond. They didn't just. It wasn't something they did in a proactive measure. It was more reactive when they get called for it.
Okay. Would anybody have any questions regarding that?
Yeah, Bob, I don't understand. What was the whole story on that again now? Because, we didn't receive any info on that.
No, we were going to just bring it up and talk about it today. In Summerside, they had a commissionaire going around to all the disabled parking spots within the city, and that was basically his job for the day is to drive around and look at the spots and issue fines as he seen fit. So there was a lady that called and said, well, why don't we do it in the city? So I had asked the chief and the deputy to take a look at it to see if it was viable for us to do that or what's the steps. And we were just going to bring it up here and discuss it here if anybody had any questions or concerns.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm good.
Councillor Rivard or Duffy, would you?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
Yeah, no questions.
All right. Well, thank you, Chief.
Okay, Chair. Moving along to bylaws, with the current COVID situation, we haven't had the opportunity to have any meetings to discuss the ride-share situation with the taxi operators, so that's been on hold. Street vendors, we can table that over to the closed discussion at the end of the meeting. We have done some review in the nuisance bylaw with respect to the bioscience park and the marijuana facility in terms of odors. I don't know if you want to discuss that at this point, given that the facility operators are in the process of trying to get new equipment and scrubbers to try and fix the problem.
Chief and Councillor Duran, can I just speak to that?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so thanks, Chief. I did speak to Alex Smith, who is the CFO over at the facility. He made me aware that Hanson Electric was in there working on that as of last week, putting in a filtration system that is supposed to be up and going for testing next, but very, very soon. I've also been in contact with Natalie Jameson at the province through Environment, but more importantly, I've been in contact with Sean Casey as well, because as it's federally mandated, and I'll read you the clip here that I have, which you probably already know, but I may as well share it. Just bear with me for a quick second when I scroll down and find it. So this is what it states. It says the federal regulations require commercial producers and processors to be equipped with air filtration systems to prevent the escape of odors from the indoor facilities. However, this does not mean they must be 100% odor-free. Like other agriculture producers, cannabis farmers are permitted to emit some odor. So again, the question is define some, and I think that's where maybe there's a little bit of I guess, a question to be answered. So anyways, it appears that everyone's working on this. The facility is certainly trying to be a good neighbor. They're addressing some of the direct concerns that are being directed to them through, like the residents themselves, making phone calls to their facility, and I'm steering some of those calls to the facility as well. So that's just an update on my part. Yes.
Councillor Duran.
Sir.
Yeah, I forwarded Councillor Rivard from Bar Ciota. He's with the UBCM, Union of British Columbia Municipalities. And as I said at our last regular monthly meeting, this was an issue dealt at one of the breakout sessions at last year's FCM in Quebec City. And so he sent me, Burr sent me a proposed bylaw that they are looking at for the whole province. And I think that email I sent to Councillor Rivard, and I think that's when he discovered that health oversees this issue. And the HVAC, they're not going to eliminate all the odor, but they will minimize or mitigate as much as possible. So I think we have to take a look, Councillor Rivard, at that proposed resolution from UBCM and maybe channel it through or send it up to our FPEIM organization.
Yeah, and again, Your Worship, I appreciate the information. I thought this was an opportunity for the facility itself to become. They talked about being good neighbors here in the neighborhood, so I wanted to give them the opportunity to try to fix the problem as much as they possibly can before pushing. Satisfied with that answer right now. My residents, of course, want it fixed yesterday. But it's a work in progress, and if we're not satisfied with the outcome of their testing with their air filtration system, then we can pursue our other avenues. And I'll be looking for support from council and, of course, the police department and everybody else.
So, Councillor Rivard, just as a point of information, the facility is not up to full.
You're breaking up, Your Worship. Yeah, we missed the whole part of the conversation.
Which is 3. What's that? The facility owned by Figure is not up to full production yet. So when it gets up to full production, there will be an increase in the odor problem or odor issue. And I think that if we stay in connection or allow our communication channels to remain open with Figure and the city and Health Canada, and also looking at our own organization, FPEIM, to put something in place. But again, we'll wait to get direction from this committee.
The facility, Alex Smith has. We have a weekly call. He updates me weekly on the progress that they're making at the facility.
Right.
So again, I spoke last Friday to him. That's when he shared to me that Hanson Electric was in doing the work, right, and that they hope that they'd have the testing started and hopefully completed if it works. And the whole idea is that it would, depending on which way the wind blows, it would trigger the air filtration or whatever the substance they put in the air that kills the odor would come from that side of the building. It's not something that emits for the whole building every time. It's all depend on the wind direction and speed. So it's a fairly advanced system, is what I'm told, and we'll take some testing. So we'll continue getting progress updates from them, and I'll keep you folks posted, and you guys likewise.
Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Sounds good.
Okay, we'll move on then. Nobody has any questions about that?
No.
Okay.
Okay, Chair. Moving on to personnel, as you can appreciate, similar to fire with the COVID-19 situation, all of our training has been put on hold. Some of the courses that we had members identified to attend have been canceled and are hopefully going to be rescheduled for the fall. We've also had to delay our legislated Police Act training requirements. We did get, there was a directive put out by the minister basically putting the training requirements under the Police Act on hold for I think it's 4 months for the time being. So we're not sure how that's going to unfold as we move forward because there are some train-the-trainer type courses that were allocated to be held in March and April that now have been canceled, so we don't know when they'll be rescheduled. So we'll be working with the province to see what happens under the Police Act training, but all training right now has been put on delay. We're looking at our screening process for potential summer staffing. We'll see how that unfolds as we move forward in terms of coming out on the other end of what the new normal will be and see where that is. We're not 100% sure what the status would be on potential OJT cadets coming out of the academy. They are doing their training online, but there are some requirements they would have to qualify before they come out on OJT. So that hasn't been fully firmed up yet whether or not the cadets will be coming out for the summer. We believe they are, but it's still a work in progress on that front.
That's great.
Chief?
Yes.
Kevin Ramsey. So the ones that were looking after the schools, the high schools, so they just go back to regular duty as of now, right?
What we've done is we've collapsed everything within the police service. So we have basically what similar to other agencies in the region, we've gone to minimum staffing, so we have everyone on the either working in our telecom unit or working out on patrol. So everybody's been collapsed into that.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Drawn.
Yes, go ahead.
So, as Chief Paul Smith said, the Kaiser and McKay are now with the force, along with our bylaw enforcement officer, Todd Sutcliffe. And at the last memo meeting, their municipal EMO meeting, I asked about the issue of waste that'll, I'm sure, will pile up. It's already piling up on some of our streets, and that residents can call the non-emergency phone number to report that, so that we can, I believe the police will follow up and find out who the owner is of the building. How many calls have we received, Chief, on the non-emergency related to waste that's piling up in some of these neighborhoods? Any?
We haven't been tracking the specific numbers on the non-emergency line. That anything that's not 911 related is coming in on that line. So we haven't. We can get it. We can check our bylaw complaints in that that refer to that, but we're not specifically tracking that. Anyone that calls with a bylaw related issue, if they call the bylaw number that Todd's office, that number has been forwarded to into our telecom, so those calls are being caught. And for those that don't call that, but call the non-emergency line, they're getting assigned as control people.
So in terms of, if I phoned in and said 620 Queen Street, there's a pile of garbage there, will dispatch, and I phone that into the non-emergency number, will the dispatcher then try to track down the property number, then phone the owner of the building? What's the tracking there?
Yeah. That would get assigned to a patrol member, and they would follow up.
And so, could I ask if we could?
So that would go out as just as any other normal call. It would be assigned to a member, and they follow up on it.
So we're going to be. Could I ask that be tracked over the next several weeks? See if we have any increase, or it stays the same.
Yeah, we can check that. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, anybody, any other questions? No, seeing none, just go right ahead there, Chief.
Okay, Chair, just in under operational items, just with respect to the discussions we had earlier this year with regard to the school situation and what was referred to as bubble zones, we've done a little bit of work on that. Basically, nothing new has come to the forefront. There are presently no bylaws or provincial legislation on that, but we're still monitoring it and following as things may progress on that. We're basically the one that did the work, as you're aware, was Calgary, so we're still monitoring that in terms of the issue that was raised by the school board.
Okay.
The other item with regard to the capital budget is just an update to advise that we are identifying our ability to make the acquisition of a number of things under the capital budget that were approved. We've reached out to the individuals that we had dealt with under for the speed signs, and they're just giving us from what we understand, what we asked them, the pricing that we'd asked about in a couple of months ago, is they're still going to honor. So we're just following up on that, getting the information in, put something together on it. In terms of our looking at conducted energy weapons, we've reached out to the supplier on that. They've given us pricing information so that we can prepare an item for the committee to review in terms of making acquisition of additional CEWs. The ones that we have looked at, the newer upgraded model, that would also supply the capability of taking video when the CEW is deployed. So we're looking at that to get the costing information on it. And Deputy McConnell is looking at the information on the household. So I'll let him speak to that.
Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's well. Yeah, so one of our budget asks in the capital budget this year was the replacement of our milestone server, which is the backbone to our interview, building security system, but also for our e-watch program. So we have prepared a briefing note that we'd like to move forward to the Finance Committee for approval to bring up to council for resolution. I'm happy to answer any questions about that.
Sure. I'm sorry,
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Deputy Chief Brad,
Yes.
we purchased the drone, and I think the Chief Paul Smith said at one of our memo meetings that it's in the queue to be assembled and delivered, and then we have to train someone to operate it. Correct?
That's correct. There's a number of not just training, but some authorizations through Transport Canada and things that have to be granted after the training too. So there's a process that has to be completed here.
So what's the timeline for it? Is it a month, 2 months to
Well, really, that's
get it delivered and then get someone trained to operate it?
Yeah, so there'll be a number of people trained, but I guess that's a big question mark where we are with the COVID-19 restrictions and the interprovincial travel, because there will be instructors having to come to Charlottetown to do the training. So, it's I can't give you a firm date or even a ballpark date. Just to know that the reason we wanted to get it through at the earliest opportunity to council is to be first in the queue when resources and training becomes available, that we are at the forefront of that.
So we can't give any definitive timeline because of the pandemic and then everything that connects to it. Okay.
Yeah.
And Mr. Chair, just the last question is about the civil forfeiture legislation. I know not too much is operated in government, but is there any work going on behind the scenes, or is everything in a hold pattern or a hold position?
Everything that we're aware of is on hold at this point, Your Worship. But if we'll certainly keep committee and council up to date on any further information we come in hand of regarding that subject.
Is there anything that we can do on our part to prepare for future meetings or discussions with the provincial government? Or do we just have to wait for the province to initiate it?
I think the ball is in their court now. I think that, and we'll have to wait for a response to see where we go from there.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
Mr. Chair, I have a question or a comment. I don't know, I think it sort of skipped over, just popped into my head. I might be under operational chief. I've been getting a few phone calls since that devastating thing happened in Nova Scotia. But I got a fair amount of seniors in my ward, and they're wondering about the alerts. Is there a province one? Is there a national one? Or I know there's a city one, which I'm on myself. But one lady was trying to work through the whole system. They're getting a little paranoid, and they would like to have an alert on their phone or the mobile thing. Is that through the police, or do they just go through City Hall?
We have access to the Everbridge system, that is the city system. We also can have access to what's called Alert Ready, which is the system that the province, that's the national system that basically the different EMO branches operate. So we don't have direct input into that. We can make the ask for that. So we don't operate it. They do.
Right.
Kevin, what you can tell them is that there's no app or any sort of registration required on the phone. If the national system is activated, it just automatically goes to the phone, right? So they don't have to take application or even if their phone is not even on a carrier, I believe, and it's connected to some sort of network, like they will get the alert.
So they should be hooked up with the city alert first, right?
Well, it's a good idea, I believe, to be hooked up to all levels of it, because it has different advantages. But as far as the national alert, the fact it's through our provincial EMO, there's nothing that they have to do. If there's an alert is issued, they will get it.
Yeah. Thank you very much. No, there was some that called, and they're you know, as I said, they're getting a little paranoid, and all the reports coming out of Nova Scotia and everything, so they like to be updated. That's all. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you don't have to subscribe to the national one, and you can't unsubscribe. Basically, if there's an alert comes out on that, you're going to get it regardless. It'll flash across the ticker on the television. It'll come on your phone, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, thank you. Excellent.
But Chief Paul Smith, just on that, it's who initiates it. What happened in Nova Scotia was that the RCMP took control of the situation because of where it started, and then by the time it got down to Enfield, of which Mr. Kelly would know about, that get into the HRM zone. But the final say on who initiates that call to the National Service depends on who's commanding the situation, correct?
And your access to the system and how quickly the system can get operated. That's to get into, it's difficult for us to get into the answers to what may or may not have taken place in Nova Scotia.
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
great. Does that conclude everything, Chief?
Just, I guess, going into the other couple things we had would be covered, I guess, in the closed session, Chair.
Okay, that's great. I guess we'll have a motion to move into closed section.
I'll move it.
Mr. Chair, Chair, there is one thing from Deputy McConnell. Just one second.
Chair, I just want to reaffirm on the capital budget items, this is a process here. We just like just acknowledgement of that. We have the city approval to move our briefing note regarding the milestone server towards finance committee next meeting.
Yeah, I'm fine with
What's
that.
that again?
How about everyone else?
Can you repeat that, Deputy Chief?
Yeah, the capital budget, we identified the need for a milestone server. We've done a briefing note that we'd like to give the finance committee regarding the purchase. We're committee approval to do that.
Okay. Sure. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Brad Duffy, everybody's good with it?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, great.
So, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, the motion to move into closed section as per section 119 subsection 1, falls under B, E, and G.
Okay.
B, E, and G of the Municipal Act of Prince Edward Island.
All right. That's terrific.
You need a second. You need a second, Mr. Chair.
I'll second it.
And folks,
Councilor
I'd
Ramsey?
ask you after the vote to stand by. We have to change over screens, please.
Okay.
Thank you. guys.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chair, you
Thanks,
are
folks.
back on.
Okay, that's great. Just looking for a resolution to adjourn the meeting.
A motion, yeah.
Motion, resolution, yeah.
I'll
Motion,
second it.
perfect.
In favor?
In favor? Favor.
All right, we're finished for the day. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank
Have
you,
a great
folks,
day.
guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.